Sleep now, because when the baby is born, you'll never sleep again. Being a stay-at-home mom is the hardest job there is. You'll lose yourself in motherhood, but don't worry, you'll find yourself again someday. Even well-meaning comments often set mothers up to anticipate stress, overwhelm, and anxiety with their newborn. But it doesn't have to be that way. You can experience peace both in your heart and in your home just by understanding schedules, routines, and finding ways to implement them into your life. It's all about finding a system that works for you. Make sure you stick around to the end, because I'm going to show you step by step how to structure your days, weeks, and even months after having your baby. So first, let's talk about the difference between a schedule and a routine. So a schedule is tied to a clock. We have specific plans for the day, and we have specific times scheduled where we're going to work on or accomplish those tasks. If your day is super scheduled, you might even have your breaks scheduled in. Your lunch break, your downtime, things like that could be scheduled into your plan. Routines, on the other hand, are event-driven. Just like someone with a schedule, you have an agenda for the day. You have certain goals that you want to accomplish, you have tasks that you need to achieve, but instead of having it tied to a clock, you just have a sequence of events. Both are structured, but one is tied to a clock and one is simply a sequence of pre-planned events. So schedules work really well when other people are involved, which is why this is what we see in the corporate world. When you have a meeting and you need to make sure that 15 other people are on the same page, you need to schedule a meeting at 1 o'clock, because you can't just be randomly flagging people down and trying to get their attention, and you need to have a meeting where everyone can communicate at the same time. So it makes sense that your day in a corporate environment needs to be structured according to the clock with an actual schedule. Routines work really well for people who are self-motivated and who are not reliant on other people's schedule. Because your day is more open-ended, routines can help you stay focused and productive. If your day is your own and you're not tied to the events of other people, then you can structure your day how you like. You don't necessarily have to be tied to a clock, but you should have some order of events to make sure that you accomplish the things that you want to accomplish in that day. Most people do have a natural leaning one way or the other, and by this point, you probably already know. You're either a very structured, organized, tied to the clock, you like knowing exactly what happens at what time type of person, or maybe you're kind of go with the flow, you like to see how things are going, how you're feeling, so on and so forth. Neither one is right or wrong, but there are some ways to make your life easier and some considerations that you need to make no matter what your natural leaning is. I would actually love to know, are you more of a scheduled person or are you more of a go with the flow kind of person? Leave it in the comments below and we can discuss. If you happen to be a person who's more time driven and schedule driven, there's some considerations that you need to take when you're caring for your newborn. It will be important that you understand that babies are humans, they're not machines, and so also, babies haven't yet been clouded with a lot of these poor judgments that we have as adults. So babies are very intuitive. When they need to eat, or when they need a diaper change, or when they're tired, they're gonna cry, they're gonna need you, they're gonna reach out for you. And so it's important to have some compassion for that and to understand that the baby isn't following a schedule. You kind of have to follow your baby's lead when it comes to certain things and make sure that their needs are being met. So approaching your newborn from a place of compassion and understanding that your baby has no concept of time is going to give you the flexibility to enjoy more peace in your home. On the flip side, if you are a super go with the flow kind of person, you might need to consider the fact that your baby has specific needs and that there does need to be some structure around a baby. For example, especially in those first 1 to 6 weeks of birth, babies need to eat at a minimum of every 3 hours. That is something that you will have to structure in your day. That is something that you will have to be very mindful of. The first few weeks are kind of intuitive when it comes to baby sleep, but as your child gets older and older, you might also need to structure specific times for sleep, naps, and things like that. But even when it comes to taking care of yourself and your home, you're going to need to have a little bit more structure in your day if you want to make sure that those things can happen. Things like taking a shower, eating a good meal, spending a little time with your husband, tidying up around the house, cooking dinner, even if it's just putting it in the oven or in the microwave, okay? You're going to have a little bit of structure to your day in order to make it work. My goal in this video is to help you experience peace in your day-to-day life. Your day should have a flow to it that's easy to follow with expected interruptions from your baby. And if you schedule and structure your day and your routines properly, you don't have to be stressed when those expected interruptions come from baby, because you know that you have things set up so that you can finish out your day as you like. Okay. So I promised you I was going to show you step-by-step how to structure your day, so here it is. First, I want you to pull out your calendar. I don't care if you have a paper calendar on the wall. I don't care if you have a paper planner. I don't care if you have a notebook. I don't care if you have an app on your phone, Google Calendars, whatever it is. Whatever calendar you use, and you need to have one. If you don't have one, choose one. Choose paper, choose digital, I don't care. So after you've pulled out your calendar, I want you to look and schedule anything that needs to happen in the next days, weeks, months. This could be postpartum follow-up appointments, pediatric visits with your baby, even something like your mother-in-law is coming in from out of town and she's going to be stopping to visit the baby for a few days, church on Sundays, anything that's not your normal stay at home all day by yourself kind of day. Anything on top of that, go ahead and pencil it in. Anything that's going to require anything extra of you, just pencil it in. Now in the weeks and months ahead, you know exactly which days are going to be different so that you can prepare for those specific events effectively. Next, I want you to list all of your self-care items in order of the way that you want to do them. For me, this looked like I wake up, I take my medications first thing, and then I'm gonna fill up my big old water bottle that I'm going to drink throughout the day. Specifically, I'm gonna drink that while I'm breastfeeding. Every time I sit to breastfeed, I'm gonna be drinking water, so that will help keep me hydrated throughout the day. Then I would eat breakfast. Then I would brush my teeth, get dressed, so comb my hair, put on some clothes. Even if it was just like a t-shirt and sweatpants that are clean and fresh, a new pair of pajamas, it doesn't matter, but just change into something new so that you feel more comfortable and you feel a bit fresh. Eat lunch, exercise, and exercise could be something as simple as focusing on deep breathing. It could be doing some little stretches, even if it's seated, just like, you know, stretching your arms a little bit or something, getting a little more flexible. If you need a little walk with your baby in the stroller, that's wonderful. It doesn't have to be anything crazy, okay? You just gave birth. Take it easy on yourself, but just if your body needs something, gift that to yourself. Eat dinner, take a shower, spend some time with your husband, skincare routine if you have one, and some sleep. And sleep is a big one. I plan to make a whole video about that in the future. Connecting with your husband, it can be while you're sitting on the couch. It doesn't have to be anything elaborate or fancy, but I do think it's important to be intentional about finding time to talk and to be with each other and to experience life together, because when a baby is born, your whole marriage is disrupted. Not that it's a bad thing. You're both welcoming this baby with joy, obviously, but your life is different now. And so acknowledging that and being intentional to spend time with each other is really important. The other thing is reading your Bible and praying, and because there is such limited time to do physical work around the house, I always did this while I was breastfeeding. Again, you're just stuck sitting there anyway. So even if you just read through a Bible app on your phone or listen to worship music or just close your eyes and pray for a little bit, while you are breastfeeding is a perfect time to connect with God. So now you've scheduled all the events that need to go on your calendar that require something extra of you, like leaving the house or maybe getting dressed up nice for someone to come over. We've also talked about self-care and the order of events in which you want to do those things throughout the day. Now third, I want you to remember the things we've talked about in previous videos about what your priorities are when it comes to homemaking, whether that's cooking, cleaning, budgeting, whatever that might be. That next most important category can be something that you kind of do bits and pieces of throughout the day, whenever you have free time. And I use that term very loosely, okay? But whenever you have a moment, and for example, maybe I've eaten lunch and the next thing on my self-care list is to eat dinner, well, that gives me some time so I can either maybe chop a fresh salad for dinner. If I already have a casserole, for example, that I'm going to be making, great, but maybe I can chop a fresh salad for dinner. That would be a nice thing to add to it. Or maybe you just want to tidy the house really quickly. Whatever it is that's your next most important thing, fill that up when you have those little gaps in your day. So for me personally, I had prepared months in advance. I had a whole freezer full of meals. I don't think I had to go out of my way to actually cook anything after my son was born for at least the first 4 months. So I really just focused on tidying and cleaning up during those times. Now we can't forget about the baby. I know you're thinking, okay, so you've told me what to do during the day, but what about the baby? So we are actually going to structure our day around baby. So baby usually has a 2 to 4 hour cycle that includes something like wake up, eat, change a diaper, maybe play a little bit, maybe eat again, maybe not, and then sleep again, right? So that's a 2 to 4 hour cycle that continues to happen throughout the day. And then sometimes your baby will be cluster feeding, so sometimes it'll be 1 hour later and the baby's ready to eat. So baby's schedule is not super predictable, but there is a cycle, an order of events that typically happen. So what I did during that season of breastfeeding was I had my watch. Now I've had a Timex watch since I was 12 years old, because I was always running long distance ever since I was a kid. And so this is very easy for me to use. This is secondhand. This is just natural for me. I will link my watch in the description box if it's something you're interested in, but I'm aware that people have smartwatches and all kinds of cool watches these days, and most people are totally fine with using the timer function on their phone. That was just a hassle for me. I don't like going to the phone. But anyway, so what I would do is I had a 3-hour timer set on my phone. And every time I fed my baby, I started the timer. And then I knew that after my baby finished eating and I changed his diaper and I did all the other things that I needed to do, that I didn't have to think about or worry about what time to feed the baby next, because my timer would go off, and then I would know if I hadn't already fed him, if he didn't cry and wasn't hungry again already, then I would know, okay, it's time for me to feed my baby, and I would go ahead and do that in that 3-hour cycle because I had it set on my timer. But basically you can follow your baby's lead. So your baby is gonna wake up and probably cry for you. You're gonna feed your baby, you're gonna change your baby's diaper, maybe you play with the baby for a little bit, and then you can set the baby in a swing or on a little soft carpet, somewhere safe, a bassinet, wherever works for you. If you want to do baby wearing, you can, whatever makes you the most comfortable and whatever you feel safest with. And then you can work on whatever else you have on your routine. So maybe one day that's like the baby wakes up at 8 o'clock and you say, you know what, I'm gonna get up for my day. I feel well rested now, I'm gonna get up too. You feed the baby, you change diapers, you play with the baby for a little bit, you put the baby in the swing, and then you go and you make your breakfast, for example. And you finish your breakfast and now it's time to feed baby again. And so you feed baby, you go through the whole thing, and now it's time to brush your teeth and get dressed. Sometimes, especially in those early days, you get through the whole day and the only thing that you managed to do was get up, eat your meals, drink some water, and maybe if you're lucky, put some nice clothes on for the day, okay? So that's okay. If that's all you accomplish in your day, that's more than enough. You're healing, your body is healing, your baby needs you, you're taking care of your baby. That's the most important thing right now. But the idea is whether you get to one thing on your list or whether you accomplish 5 things on your list, you just do what you can between that time when you've fed and cared for your baby, and then the next time that it is time to feed your baby, you just accomplish as many things in your routine as you can, and whatever you don't get done, it's okay, and then you feed your baby again, and then you just carry on with your list of things to do. In my next video, I'm going to be going into more specific detail about what self-care with a newborn looks like. I think sometimes we hear things like skincare routine, and we just overcomplicate it because, especially on social media, you will see someone that has like an hour-long skincare routine and you're just thinking, oh my goodness, I can't do all that. That's so many products and it's so difficult and it's so complicated. It doesn't have to be that complicated, but there are some things that you can do to take care of yourself every single day, even when you have a newborn, and I do want to talk with you about those things. So if homemaking and taking care of babies, especially from a Christian perspective, is your kind of thing, and you like hearing about that kind of stuff, then please do hit subscribe, because I have lots of fun videos planned for the future. No matter what your natural tendencies are, whether you're a very structured person or a very unstructured person, having a baby is going to stretch you, and that's not a bad thing. As Christians, we are always looking for opportunities to be sanctified, and God uses these opportunities to actually draw us closer to Him and to conform us more into the image of God's Son. One of my favorite parts of motherhood has been seeing all the different ways that I feel towards my son, and just thinking that as a parent, that's how God must feel towards us. So don't allow yourself to get too stressed out about your schedule or your routine. Don't let yourself feel that you're not doing a good enough job. Just focus on the Lord. Focus on His blessing that He's given you. Focus on your baby. Just take those moments. Don't get so worried about the hustle and bustle and the things you think you need to accomplish that you forget to take those moments to just sit in awe of your little baby and look at his or her face and admire the fact that God gave you this blessing and this responsibility to steward for His kingdom. And no matter what happens, whether you have an amazing day or a very difficult day, do not forget that God's mercies are new every morning. I can't wait to talk to you next time. Bye.